want to ask you about early signings period, your thoughts on that, and where you think this is going.
I definitely think we have to have one, but I disagree with the SEC. I think you need it at the beginning of August before the season starts, so the young guys, they can enjoy their senior year. Academically, it will help them tremendously. Pressure-wise, it will help them tremendously. Assistant coaches in college football will help because of the limited number of calls and contacts you have to have. Give them a certain piece of mind, give you an idea really going into that season what you have to have. And because of having it, if you want to have it at the end of November, you can't do it then, because what about the teams that are going into playoff games and into conference championship games and things like that? And then you want your last couple weeks when you're really scrambling to have it then, when your biggest rivalry games are, like us with Florida, Alabama, Auburn. I think you need to have it at the beginning, let these guys, because everybody's going early into spring, summer, they're making all their visits. And if they want to sign, let them sign. If they don't, then they don't have to. At least you know where you stand going into the season.
I wanted to ask you about Jameis Winston from this regard. We were asked today on the radio station to ask you this question. As a football coach, are you concerned him being a relief pitcher and as hard as he throws about him blowing out?
No, really not. You know what's funny? When he was practicing football and baseball, when he's hit his highest velocities when he's playing both sports at the same time. I think his arm's strong. I think they have a tremendous pitching coach and great organization with Coach Mike Martin there at Florida State. They know what they're doing, and he could do that just playing 7-on-7 football and blowing a knee. You hear so many guys that do that. I mean, I don't think about it. I think the uses. I think we sometimes don't use them enough. I think we're so worried about pitch counts and arm throws. I think I'm more old school. I don't put them on that. I go by feel and touch by how they are. I love watching him. I'm a baseball guy, so I like watching him.
Do you think he's changed in his mindset and his maturity level and all that through all he's been through with the investigation and the public?
I think he has, but I think also that people have to realize that Jameis is a young man who's made some mistakes, and just like any other kid at that age is going to make them. He has not made any things that cannot be taken care of, or just like any other normal student that's 18 to 22 years old, that it can't be fixed. And you grow and mature from every situation in which you have. And Jameis is a tremendous person. He's a tremendous people person. When you're around him, you get his magnetic personality, and he loves people, he loves fans, he's great with kids. He's a tremendous human being.
You kind of take us back to that, obviously in this state, Jacob Coker's become a very popular person. Can you kind of take us back to that competition between him and Jameis, and what does Jacob bring to the table that people are going to see this fall?
Well, I think first of all, Jacob's a tremendous human being. Very intelligent guy, extremely athletic, great arm talent. I think Jacob Coker's a high draft pick in the NFL. I really do, from a talent standpoint. And then he's a tremendous competitor, tremendous teammate, great team guy, very selfless guy. Can beat you with his leg, can beat you with his arm, can beat you with his mind. I think it was a very close competition. You have to make a choice. We had to make a choice, and it worked. Jameis has had a tremendous career, but I think Jacob can have one also, and I'm a Jacob Coker fan. And I hate to see Jacob go, but I understand the quarterback, you only play one. And from that standpoint, I think Alabama got a great player and a great person.
Are his legs maybe what people don't understand, how good he is with them?
I think legs, toughness, and competitiveness. I mean, he can sling it, but he can run. He's extremely physical and tough, and he's unbelievably is a competitor. And he's a guy I think gets better when the lights come on.
How do you feel about the sticking with an 8-game conference schedule, and then also the ACC's made a proposal about eliminating the divisions for the conference championship?
We've surpassed that. We went back. We as coaches did. We want to keep the divisions. You can't have a conference champion without divisions, because you get no parity, no consistency within a schedule, because the schedule can have too many variances in it when you don't have divisions. I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
What about the +1 championship series? I guess getting rid of the BCS going to the championship. What's your thoughts?
Here's my thing. I think it's great. I think we got to be careful of number of games we play now, because we're playing so many games in college football. And I'm going to tell you something. The bowl system of college football is what's made college football so popular. Is let other teams develop and other organizations develop and get into games and recruit players they never would be able to compete. Because if we're only talking about we start just taking the only 8 or 16 teams, or how many teams you take, there's not many guys that get rewarded. I think you'll see programs decline a little bit, and I think 4 is fine, but I think it's going to be harder to pick 4 than it is 2. Because I go back to the BCS system, how many times did they really get it wrong when you really go back to it? But 4 is great. We're looking for it. I think it'll add a level of excitement, and like I say, it's uncharted ground, so we'll have to see where we go.
They brought up the name, you already brought up about Jacob. What about Chris Casher? Is he going to play this year?
Oh, Chris will be a star. Chris had a dominant spring for us. Chris is going to be a dominant player. I think has a chance to be a great. Him, Nate Andrews, who actually led us in interceptions from right down the road. Chris is a 6'4", 250-pound guy that can run, jump, play. He'll play at the next level and be a very high pick in my opinion. Marquez White from this state, Jameis, Justin Shanks. I mean, we've got quite a few players from the state of Alabama in this area, and I think all those guys are going to be extremely well. Do extremely well.
Last question.
And you were talking about players being concerned about your players playing so much time. Now the NCAA is going to give the free meals, extended meals to players. Is that something as a coach, having a personal relationship with your players that you always have concerns about?
Well, I do. I think nutrition is the most under talked about, one of the most vital things an athlete can have. And I equate it like this. You can take a car, Mercedes, BMW, Bentley, everybody wants to know, take the oil and gas out of a car, how good is it? And that's what nutrition is to an athlete. And I think them learning how to eat, but also us providing enough food. You gotta understand, these are bigger bodies than a normal human being. These guys are using much more energy, much more time, much more exalting much more energy in that regard. So I think feeding them and making sure they're nutritionally sound, I think is a very critical thing. I think you not only see a benefit on the field, I think you see a benefit in the classroom.